Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am back with the Spellbinders April 2019 card kit of the month. So as always, I do the reveal in the beginning, and then after that, I actually came out with 6 cards. I had 5, but one kind of sprouted off another one. So here we go. Let's get to it. So this kit for April is called Night Out, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So your kit will come in this package that you see here and all of these wonderful contents. So let's go through each of the contents, and what we'll do is we will, as always, I like to start out with the content sheet. So you always get this little note card. It tells you the items that are in your kit, and then it also gives you some inspiration. So it shows a project that you can make using some of the contents in the kit, and then also some other photos for inspiration. What's also part of your kit is the cardstock. So you get a gray, an ivory, a beautiful mirror, a pink, a peach, a white, and a black. And that peach is like an orangey tangerine color. Let's go with that, not a peach. You get your roll of double-sided tape, and this is always plenty so that you can create your cards. You get your double-sided foam squares. You get a few sequins. You get your 10 envelopes, and you will get your 10 card bases. Now, just like with their cardstock, it is a weave texture, and the cards are already scored and folded, and they're the standard A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and they are side folding. Excuse me. Your ephemera or your die cut pieces, you get many as always. There's bikes, there's bows, there's sentiments, there's flowers, there's tickets, there's banners, there's a beautiful black dress because we should all have a little black dress, telephones, just plenty of items to build your cards with. You also get some journaling cards and some tags. So these are really pretty. What I really like about this theme that's here, even though it says Night Out, there's also a ballerina theme to it. And whenever I see the ballerina, it makes me think of my sister. She was a ballerina at one time, so it makes me smile. And as always, April, for this month, we have add-ons that are available as well. So the die cut shapes that I've shown, they will be available as an add-on. So if you really like them and you're looking for more, they will be available individually, also with these foiled foam stickers. So you get a full sheet of those, and there's all kinds of really great images on that as well. Also get a full paper pad. Now again, this is not cardstock. This is not 110 weight. This is a paper pad. But the papers are absolutely beautiful. That is my favorite. Oh, the images are absolutely gorgeous throughout this paper pad. And that is an add-on as well. The paper is 6 by 6. So again, your theme, Night Out. You also, of course, get your dies, and there are 10 dies in this month's kit. So you get sentiments. You are magical. You can get create a beautiful dress with a hanger and bows. And then, of course, your stamp set. So these images are absolutely beautiful. We can make our ballerinas, and we can have all kinds of beautiful overlays that come off of her as well. So that is and also the stamp set is an add-on as well and will be available individually. So let's get started. So for card number 1, I saw these beautiful watercolor circles within the die cut pack. So I thought all of these would be perfect. I loved all of the sentiments. So you're going to hear me crinkle my bag here because I'm going to look at my cards now. But I thought all of the sentiments were wonderful. Now, again, you could keep these on individual cards. you don't have to do what I did. But I was really going to pack this up with florals and everything else. I did cut it into the cardstock. I have a strip of the black, and I'm going to use a strip of the pink. I was going to put the tangerine in there, but decided against that. I do have ivory for my base, and I'm going to put the black strip down, and then I'm going to set the pink off to the side with that. But the sentiments, as I said, are absolutely wonderful. The green one that's going to go up in the top is always keep the simple and loving heart of your childhood. The middle one, there are so many beautiful reasons to be happy. And then the one that will sit at the bottom, dance to the beat of your own dreams. And very true. Absolutely very true. So obviously it's taken me a while to get the strips down, because I almost feel like, you know, taking off all the paper as I'm getting carried away with my craft pick. So once they were set, I just set those strips down just to give it some other colors in the background to make our sentiments pop just a little bit. Now the one that'll be in the upper left hand corner or right hand corner, and the one that'll be down on the bottom left, they're going to go straight down onto the panel. I'm not going to prop those up. But the one that will sit in the center, I will be using the foam squares to prop that up, just to give it some dimension. But I really did like the watercolor look that these circles had. And I just really wanted them to be the focal point. So while I was putting the card together, as I said, I was going to add some florals coming out of the center and everything else. It was getting a little bit too busy. So from this one, we'll spur another card. Hence the 6 cards, 1 kit. I have a lot of fun with this one. I can just keep layering and layering and having a lot of fun with that. So once I have that set, we are pretty much set. I am just going to trim off the edges. I do like my images to sometimes go off my panel. I think it adds movement to the card so that it's just not, I don't know, still, I guess. So I'm going to use the double-sided tape in the back if I can make it work, because of course it was winning there for a moment. And that's what I'll use to adhere it to my pre-card or pre-scored, wow, I can't talk, my pre-scored card base. There we go. I'm getting better with that. So the tool that I'm using is a Spellbinders tool-in-one. It's really great. You can interchange the ends of it. So I always keep the pick on one side with the brush on the other for the dies. So that is our first card. So the second card that came from this, again, I was looking to put these 3 pieces onto that other card. I don't know how they would have fit, but I'm sure I would have found a way. So, but I really loved the bow and these florals. Again, the watercolor look. So I'm going to set the one directly down onto the card base, and then the pink one will actually be propped up using foam squares so that we can have that dimension. The bow, of course, will also be propped up as well because it'll carry off of one of the florals. So I wanted to make sure that was even as it's sitting on the card base. I like the black and white next to these watercolor flowers as well. You know, they didn't try to fill in with green. They kept the florals the focal point, and everything else looks like a shadow, an afterthought. So I thought these were really pretty. And once they're set, we're just going to get the bow set in place as well. The banner that I chose from the die cut set simply says "Wonderful Day." So I figured that would be really pretty going across the top. And again, it makes it to be any type of card that you would want. You could use it for any type of celebration or just a card for encouragement to somebody who may need to smile that day. So again, the double-sided tape was winning for a moment there. I finally won, and we will set the banner in place. So very simple, didn't use any card bases for this or any of the papers, just went directly down onto the card base. So for our third card, I fell in love with some of the journal, or I should say definitely one of the journal cards. I thought the sentiment was absolutely perfect. If you stumble, make it part of the dance. And again, that just made me think of my sister. So I had to choose the pattern paper with all the ballerinas in the background. I'm going to adhere this journaling card onto a piece of mirror cardstock that I cut down. I just wanted a faint hint of that mirror cardstock coming around. I didn't want it too big. So really, I only have a very scant 1/8 of an inch going on around this journal card. I also love the background of the journal card. It's like feathers. So it's like a tutu, from Swan Lake. So once I have everything adhered, I'm going to prop this onto my panel that's on my card base, but I am going to let it run off the edge. I do want it to overhang, and that edge will eventually be trimmed. I grabbed a couple of the tickets that were in the die cut pack. I thought they were really sharp, and went along with the card. So I'm just going to adhere the one straight down onto the card design, and then I'm going to prop the peach one with some foam squares, and we'll just set that right in place. And I use the entire square of the foam square, even the sections where I pop out the foam squares. It took me a while to learn that, but it really works. You can use the whole thing. Yeah, who knew? So we've propped that up. Now we're just going to trim off the edges along the side, and then also a small part of the tag that's coming down from the bottom. I'm going to take a couple of my scraps that I trimmed. I'm going to add some double-sided tape to those, and I'm just going to set them down into the corner just to give the inside of the card a little bit of color and to continue the design in there. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing that because sometimes, I do forget about the inside unless I put so much work on the outside. I just don't have the heart to cover it with a sentiment in any way. That's where I'll put my sentiment. I'll actually put it on the inside. But other than that, I'm trying to do better to think about that. So for card number 4, we're still working with the journal cards and all of the die cuts that came in place. So I did choose one of the paper pads, or one of the pieces of paper from the paper pad. I'm having a real tough time today. And I'm choosing that tangerine color to be the backdrop for this pink. Now I made sure when I cut this paper down, I wanted that huge balloon. I wanted that to actually be the focal point of my card. So I'm kind of going to strategically place the items that I chose to go over this off to the side. I just loved the image. It would have been awesome if it was black and white, because then I would have colored it in. Look at it. It's just absolutely beautiful. So here I'm playing with the tag, and that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where it needs to sit, off the side. Because I just did not want to cover that. So, there could be areas on your pattern paper where you're like, you know what, I really like that. I really want that to be my focal point. And you can, just set your items or set your sentiment, down from it or off to the side of it, because our eyes will actually get drawn into it depending upon where we place it and where we would set it onto our cards. So you can see I took that tag and I set it off to the left. So now I'm going to set the floral down, and what I'm going to try to do is cover up the base of the tag to make it look like it's coming from all of these florals and the envelope with the one floral in it, which I think pulls out, which is why I wanted to use that tangerine shade of cardstock. I just think it helps to pull that out. I like these two colors together. So I'm going to continue to use the double-sided tape to set my pieces down, except for the envelope. That I am actually going to prop up using the double-sided foam squares and all the extra pieces that you can use. Yeah. I do use a lot of the foam squares because I do want to make sure that it's got a good solid base so that it can't get crushed in any way. And you can see that floral is still there. This was the other paper that I absolutely fell in love with that beautiful floral design. So what I'm using from the stamp set, believe it or not, are the sentiments, the typewriter set sentiments. So I chose the ones that I wanted, and on a piece of scratch white paper, I'm going to stamp these out. I'm going to use my Gina K amalgam ink to stamp these. So I will stamp them just a couple times. These are new stamps, and I didn't really treat them too well to get them ready for ink. Once I have them stamped, I'm going to grab my fine tip Faber Pitt pen, and I'm just going to draw around it, make some scribbles around it to make it look like we've journaled, and then I'm just going to real quick do some quick cuts to get these strips set, and then I'm going to trim each of the edges. So it's actually it's almost like we're going to make a journal page when it comes to that cardstock. And again, I'm just trimming them down. I want to be able to see the lines that I put in, but I don't want these lines to be perfectly straight. I want the angles to show for these sentiments, because we are using all of these sentiments. There's actually 5 that are going to go onto this card. So I did cut this panel to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I wanted the entire front to be covered. I am going to come in with my black Memento pen, and I'm just going to go around the outer edge. This will remove part of that white edge and help them to stand out on this background. While this background does have that focal point, at the same time, there's a lot going on there. So we're just going to make sure that they pop just a little bit. And again, I'm not coming up to the front. I'm just going to go around the edge of those sentiments. Some of these are going to be glued directly down onto the panel. Some of these are going to be propped up using some foam squares. So setting up the last one, we have that going down. So I have 3 in the top and I have 2 down on the bottom. So there's a lot of black and white going on with these pink dots though. I do cut a strip of the black and white paper, and I'm going to set that on the inside of my card. Again, just to give it that pop once the card is open. So I'm going to set that down along the edge. I'm not worried if it was cut straight or if it's crooked. I know it's even going up to my card edge. And that is card number 5. So for card number 6, we're going to play with the dies. I'm going to die cut all of my pieces, and I just had to play with making this dress. So it's very easy when you die cut your pieces. There are score lines in it, and you're just going to fold back and forth on those score lines. Does it have to be exact? Absolutely not. But it is something where you want to fold, and then you can see you're going to fold it back upon itself, and then that creates the pleats within the skirt. And I'm going to do that to both the ivory and the pink. So the ivory is actually going to sit underneath the pink skirt just to give it some texture and dimension. I did a 2-layered. I was very inspired by, I was inspired by one of the samples that was on the card that came with the card kit that tells you the items that are in your card kit. But somebody had made the skirt, and they actually chose black to be underneath it. So I really liked the way that it looked. So since I used a black and white background, I wanted to make sure that I used like an ivory to help it stand out. Now I'm just taking these two pieces and I'm laying them on top of each other, and I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to get these together. Now I'm sure the double-sided tape would have been great, but I actually flung it at one point and it just went flying, so I didn't have time to get it. I get all carried away on my table. Absolutely. One of the dies is actually the belt, and then of course the top of the dress along with a hanger. So I'm setting all of this up to sit on an angle on my card base. So I probably should have pulled in the skirt just a little bit more because it is a little bit wider than what the top is, but I was okay with it. I still think it looked really cool. I think it was really neat to have something like this that gives you that 3D dimension as you're putting your card together. I'm fighting with the belt just a little bit, and finally we've got that to work. And again, I'm going to use my glue just to make sure that I have a good adhesion. Adhesion, is that a word? To make sure all my pieces stick together. How's that? I made sure that the dress is hanging from a silver hanger, just to make it a little bit fancy. And I'm just adding a little bit of glue between the pink and the ivory to make sure that the pink stays down onto the card as well. And I'm going to do that on the other side also. So I'm not worried about in between because I want that dimension. I want that to pop up. So here I'm just pushing down to make sure that everything is going together. It's the cardstock that comes with this. When you have that much folded up together, it's pretty thick, and sometimes it wants to do what it wants to do. But it did not win. I did. I'm good. I'm going to pull off my release paper and set this up onto my standard card base that's provided, and this was cut to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, so there is a small border going around the outside of the design. There is one simple sentiment that I'm going to add to this card, and it's simply going to state fabulous. I think that pretty much says it all. Again, I'm going to use my Gina K amalgam ink, and I'm going to stamp that right down towards the bottom. And then I'm going to grab my black pen and just put 3 dots, because I'm sure something wonderful will be stated on the inside of the card. Okay, that was our final card, and as always, here are the close-ups of the cards that we made today using the Spellbinders Card Kit of the Month for April 2019. I hope that you really enjoyed this. I know I had fun with it. All of the links to the Spellbinders site, to their value clubs, to all of their monthly card kits that they offer will be available down below if you wanted to check them out. They keep adding to them, which I think is wonderful. If you should have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I also will be providing the link to their blog, an inspirational gallery. There are so many wonderful designers associated with Spellbinders, and they have a wonderful design team making beautiful creations to inspire anybody with any of their products or what you may already have. I thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video that I created today. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and tune in for my next video. Here are a few other videos that I've made using Spellbinders products. I hope everyone's having a great day, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative.